The gasp that swept through the hallway was deafening. For a moment, every pair of eyes froze on one spot. A trembling girl standing in the middle of the corridor, her skirt pulled around her ankles. In the distance, cruel laughter echoed, and the sound of a phone camera clicking made her stomach drop. It was Ava's first week at Lincoln High. She had moved from a small town with her mom after her parents' divorce, hoping for a fresh start. But in a place where groups were already tightly formed, new faces were easy targets. Ava had kept to herself, her quiet nature and modest style making her stand out in ways she didn't expect. That morning, she'd felt a flicker of hope. She had gotten to school early, dressed neatly in a plaid skirt and cream sweater her mom had picked out, determined to make it through another day unnoticed. But fate had other plans. As she walked past the lockers, a group of girls stood whispering. One of them, a tall blonde named Brielle, had been eyeing Ava since day one. To Brielle, Ava was perfect bait, shy, polite, and alone. In a sudden move, Brielle reached out, grabbed the waistband of Ava's skirt, and yanked it to the floor. The hallway erupted into laughter. Someone whistled. Ava's face burned, her heart pounding so loudly she could barely hear. But instead of scrambling to pull her skirt back up, she stood still. Slowly, she bent down, picked up the skirt and held it in her hands. Her voice was calm, but it cut through the noise. "Are you proud of yourself?" she asked Brielle. The laughter faded. "You think humiliating someone makes you strong?" Ava's gaze was steady, and her voice didn't shake. "It only shows how small you really are." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Even Brielle's friends glanced at each other. In a hallway where victims usually cried or ran away, Ava's composure was unnerving. She slipped her skirt back on, adjusted it, and walked away without looking back. But the day wasn't over. By lunchtime, whispers had spread across the school. Some mocked her, others admired her. And then came the video, the skirt being pulled, the taunts the moment Ava spoke up. But instead of making her the butt of a joke, the video began stirring conversations about humiliation, bullying, and respect. That afternoon, Ava went to the principal's office. She didn't go to beg for punishment. She went to speak. She told them exactly what had happened and how public shaming can damage someone beyond what people see. The principal listened closely, and by the end of the day, Brielle and her friends were suspended. Still, Ava knew that rules alone wouldn't change a culture. The next week, she did something no one expected. She stood in front of her English class and told her story. She didn't sugarcoat it. She described the heat in her face, the lump in her throat, and the choice she made to stay calm. "You don't control what people do to you," she said, "but you control what they remember about you. And I didn't want them to remember me as the girl who ran away crying. I wanted them to remember that I stood my ground." From that day, something shifted. People started greeting her in the hallways. Some even apologized for laughing. Even Brielle, after returning from suspension, avoided Ava entirely, not out of fear, but because she couldn't meet her eyes. Months later, Ava was elected to the student council. She worked to start a campaign about respect and kindness, ensuring no one else would have to go through what she did. And whenever she passed the spot in the hallway where it had happened, she didn't feel shame anymore. She felt proud, not because of the humiliation, but because in that moment, in the middle of the laughter, the cameras, the stares, she had chosen dignity over fear. The gasp that tore through the hallway was like a sudden wave, sharp, loud, and impossible to ignore. Lockers slammed shut, whispers turned into laughter, and in the middle of it all stood Ava, frozen. Her plaid skirt was crumpled on the floor around her shoes, and the air felt colder against her legs than it should have. She could hear the quick snaps of a phone camera, the stifled giggles, and one mocking voice saying, "Guess the new girl doesn't need this." Brielle, the tall blonde who had yanked her skirt, smirked like she'd just performed a magic trick. Around her, two friends covered their mouths, pretending to be shocked but clearly enjoying every second. Ava's heart was thudding so hard she thought it might burst. She wanted to run. She wanted to disappear. But a deeper voice inside her whispered, "Not like this." She bent down slowly and deliberately, picked up the skirt and held it in her hands. Her voice, when she spoke, was calm enough to slice through the laughter. "Are you proud of yourself?" The hallway quieted, the laughter fading into uneasy shuffling. "You think humiliating someone makes you strong?" Ava's eyes locked onto Brielle's. "It only shows how small you really are." Brielle's smirk faltered. The silence was heavier now. Ava pulled her skirt back on, adjusted it, and walked down the hallway without a single glance back.